What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another week. Tonight's guest is really cool. His name is Pedro Serra. He's the current outreach director for the Free State Project. And I love this guy. I see him at everything. He's super busy all the time. So we're going to kind of talk about what he does with the Free State Project, where we're at as a movement out here in New Hampshire, and what his goal and vision is for the whole liberty movement in general over the next, several years. Um, Really cool guy. He's done it all. He's campaigned for Ron Paul back in 2012. Yeah, he stays super busy here. I think he was just door knocking like yesterday and door knocked hundreds of doors. So, yeah, without further ado, Pedro, what is up, my good friend? How are you tonight?
Go on, Ben. Good to see you again.
Yes,
Thanks
dude.
for having me on. This is awesome. This is great.
Thank you, man. So I guess introduce yourself. You are one of the newer movers in New Hampshire. But you jumped right into it. Like, you are the outreach director of the Free State Project.
Yeah, it's funny.
And,
I get that.
It's crazy, man.
Just dove in. Yeah, I'm excited to be in New Hampshire. I mean, this is a dream come true. I learned of the Free State Project more than 10 years ago, so it's been on my radar. Sometimes you learn about something cool like this, and you want to do it, but you can't jump the gun right away. I had a lot going on. I used to be in the restaurant business, and so I had I had a wine bar and a cocktail bar as well. And I, did some real estate. And so a lot of things tied me down, but some life changes, and the time came, the opportunity presented itself. So I pulled the trigger.
Well, dude, we're super thankful to have you here because, you just brought a ton of ideas and energy with you. And, it's hard because a lot of people move here and it's really easy to just become like a passive voter. Like, oh, this is what New Hampshire, Liberty Score or NHLA says that we should vote on this certain thing. So they'll do that. And that's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad we have all this support and stuff here because we are changing things quickly. But it's hard because also with such a huge amount of people that are here in this huge movement, even with all the events we have, people do tend to get burnt out a bit. And I think that what prevents people from getting burnt out is to have a ton of really exciting things to look forward to help out and to do. And from my perspective, you've been heading a lot of that stuff up, or at least you've been involved with all of it. You're at almost every Liberty event, it seems.
Yeah,
Man.
I think I've said to people that if I'd known that it was going to be this cool, I probably would have made a bigger effort to get out here sooner. Honestly, the community is really something I write home about. It's strange as somebody who's moved around in different moments in my life. It's not usual to arrive somewhere and sort of have hundreds of friends waiting for you. You get here and everyone's excited that you moved. You feel welcome. I moved out with my girlfriend. She's made friends also. So it's and that's also something that everybody recommends you do. Hey, go to as many events as possible. We have the Liberty calendar. I think many people in your audience know what that is, and so you go to these things. Tonight I was at the cigar night, and it's just a bunch of guys sitting around chatting about everything. So
Yeah, it's really great because the cool thing about FSP is every day of the week, all year long, you go to the FSP calendar, there's at least 5 things on the calendar every single day. You can go to something anywhere. Sometimes they're in other parts of the state, you know what I mean? Maybe you don't want to travel, but there's never, you'd have to put effort in to not know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
And, regardless of if you want to live in one of the cities or you want to live up north where it's more rural, there are activities going on there too.
Mhm.
Or if you wanna live in the seacoast, there are activities going on out there, so there does seem to be something for everyone.
Absolutely. And, like, obviously, the goal of the Free State Project is to move as many people to New Hampshire, as possible that are liberty focused and wanna make liberty in our lifetime and make things freer here. Um, and that's, it takes a lot to, like, uproot your family and your life, like you said, like, you have, like, things that tie you down no matter where you are, and I'll say for certain, I've always kinda had these little things that would tie me down. I moved from Colorado to California with the specific intent of saving money while I was there. I got this great job so that I can move to New Hampshire. That might sound counterproductive, but like, I was like, like I've got like a 5-year plan or a 8-year plan or something. And then COVID happened and I was like, yeah, 2 years was too long. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I need to get to
Yeah.
New Hampshire. So I ended up just like pulling the trigger way, way quick. But it's a migration project, but over just these first 10 years, it's turned into like this political machine. Like we have such a stronghold on New Hampshire politics. We got people protesting every event. We've got we've
People
got,
protesting our events,
it's amazing.
right?
Like this is
So
great.
it's important people here understand that difference. I mean, oftentimes you see liberty people protesting, these big government initiatives.
Mhm.
Uh, in New Hampshire, the statists are protesting our, initiatives. So it is interesting. I mean, liberty really is winning in New Hampshire on a regular basis. Um, I mean, the we have the majority leader, Jason Osborne, is a free stater. We have a lot. There are a lot of people in the New Hampshire State House. I'd venture to say that it's the most libertarian legislative body in the world.
It definitely is. And the reason is because, and I've definitely touched on this on here multiple times, but we have one of the most decentralized state infrastructure governments in the world, like 400 state reps for a population of like I can't remember, like 1.3 million, something like that. So every state rep is representing only like 2,500 people. Whereas like you go to California, they're representing like over 500,000 people. They can't possibly represent you. But here you're voting for your neighbors. And
Right.
because it's so spread out, man, we're getting wins all over the place. Like I think that there's like a special election in Wolfboro. We're pushing to get some people in on this
Yes.
weekend,
Yeah.
which is super important. Um, but like, and actually, I can't remember the website. I think it's libertywins.org or something to that effect. It shows like all the New Hampshire Liberty wins from the last couple of years, and like there's no state in the U.S. that's even close. Like
Right.
Florida might say, "Oh, we just abolished property taxes," and like, "Oh my god, I'm so jealous. You guys don't have to pay property tax." But like look at this list and please tell me if you're anywhere even in the same we're not even in the same conversation. New Hampshire is the freest state in America.
Yeah.
Um, and Free State Project has played a huge role in making that happen.
Absolutely. Our executive director, Eric Brakey, was a state senator in Maine. And he talks about how when he was a senator, and that was more than 10 years ago, I think, Maine and New Hampshire, he thought they were sort of neck and neck. I mean, there are a lot of liberty-minded people in Maine, but there was just this fork in the road, and all of a sudden, Maine just went off the rails. And you look
Totally.
at the liberty rankings, the freedom in the 50 states, and nothing else in the Northeast even compares. New York's dead last at number 50. Uh, Maine, I think, is like number 43. Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, they're all in the bottom quartile. So it is, and Florida is not in the top 10. So we do have a lot of freedoms here that other states don't enjoy.
Yeah, that's for sure. And as the outreach director, um, that's a big role to put on yourself, so thank you for
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
But, who would you say the FSP is actively trying to attract in 2026? Because things have shifted and changed so much over the last 10 years. We've had to be very adaptable to modern times, and, you know, there's a lot of ideas that that have worked, but, like, we just have to be flexible, man, because, like, what worked 10 years ago probably doesn't work today. That's how quickly things change.
Sure, yeah.
So, who are we trying to attract in 2026, and what are we doing to bring those people in?
So, there's a few things here. One, the FSP, contrary to what our detractors might say about us, is not, funded by billionaires. Quite the opposite. The FSP operates on a shoestring budget, and they're always trying to figure. I volunteer for them, right? I mean, I think they only have one full-time paid person. Um, so they're always trying to figure out what they can do with limited resources. I have made I don't know, I've chosen the strategy or the attitude that, look, we should try to double our numbers. Let's start thinking about doubling the number of movers that have come here. And right now it's estimated that 5 to 7,000 liberty lovers have moved to New Hampshire since the Free State Project, and that's amazing. That's a lot of people crossing state lines. These aren't, as you know, these generally are not passive voters. These are people that are willing to get active, as they go door knocking. Look at you, you started a podcast. These are all important contributions. But what would New Hampshire look like if we could double that to 10 to 14,000? How many more state reps would we have? So the strategy
Unstoppable
is,
force. That's what we would be.
that's
We'd
right.
be unstoppable.
That's right. That's right. So I think in sales, if you in sales, for instance, which I have a sales management background, like 20 years ago, but I did some sales management. We would teach our reps not to focus on having more sales, but to focus on having more leads. And if you want
Mm.
to double your sales, you actually focus on doubling your leads, because a certain percentage of your leads won't even see you. A certain percentage of them, let's just say, won't honor the appointment, and then a certain percentage of those won't buy. So you have these steps, and the same thing here. We need to double. If we want to double the number of movers, we have to be focused on doubling the number of leads, let's call them. How many
That's a
people
really good point, man, and
know
I've
about?
never looked at it from, like, a sales perspective, but I've got like, a pretty extensive background, in sales as well,
Okay.
and, for me, it's more, like, on construction project side, like, like, estimating jobs and selling those to people, which is, I think would probably be a lot easier to sell than a lot of other things because people call you for things that they need.
Yeah.
But, regardless, we have this thing that everyone does need and is actually, like, a pretty popular message. So I think that the strategy of doubling your leads is huge because, like, I mean, like, I don't see why we couldn't have, we're not gonna get, 20 to 40% conversion rate on this, right? But, at the same time, uh, you're not gonna get to that 14,000 free stater number if you don't keep pushing out into new audiences,
That's
really.
right.
'Cause I do
Outreach.
feel like we often preach to ourselves too often. That's my biggest
Right,
issue.
right, right,
So,
right. Uh, and s Right, so if let's say it's 10%, let's say we've had 6,000 movers, and let's say 60,000 people heard about it, right? And so 10% decided to move here. We simply need to get the word out to another 60,000 people. That's the job. We're gonna, one of the things that the FSP's never done, and we're about to launch next month, is a paid social media advertising campaign for outreach. And they just haven't been able to honor it. And actually, we will be announcing it, but on your platform tonight, I'll announce it for the first time ever. We're gonna
heck
have a
yeah.
money bomb, a Ron Paul style money bomb. It's queued for actually, if everyone could please put it in their calendar, Monday, March 23rd. All donations made to the FSP on fsp.org that day and that day only will go towards this advertising campaign. And with social, you were talking about things that we can do today that you couldn't do 20 years ago. Today, it's very easy to target people with strong liberty leanings, right? We can
Mhm.
find them on Twitter and Instagram. And so we'll be carrying out this campaign. And so we need everyone to chip in $5, $25, $250, whatever they can. Or, whatever. Let's show that we're committed and we're serious about getting the word out. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be terrific. We can double. We can get another 60,000 people to learn about the FSP. Imagine it's estimated that there are 20 to 25 million libertarians across the country. That's a lot of people. We just need to find another 60,000. Imagine being a libertarian and living in Vermont and being miserable and not
Imagine being
just,
a libertarian and living anywhere but New Hampshire. Oh my
yeah.
god. What
I
a
mean,
miserable life, dude.
yeah. And that's what motivated me to move. You're just constantly banging your head against the wall. And it's so nice to move here and be on the winning team
Mhm.
and have this great big community of people that are like-minded. So it's
Unless you've
really
been here,
exciting.
you just don't get it. You just don't get it. I know
Yeah.
that they are planning to announce, some Porkfest, stuff this weekend at the Liberty Forum, from what I heard, but there's so much going on here all the time that you can literally just pick your poison. Pick your week of the year. Um, there's somebody who can guide you through. I could help guide you through. If somebody wants to move here, come and try it out for like a week. So, like, just come here for even, like, a long weekend. It doesn't matter. We will set you up and tell you all the cool stuff to do, and, I know, like, Dennis Pratt has been really cool about, like, welcoming people in at the Independence Inn and letting
I was
people
about to
stay
do a
there.
plug for them, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, so they let people stay there, and, he'll literally, like, plan your whole time here if you want him to, but there's just so much going on, like, there's no end. You don't have to do Pork Fest. You can literally come here any time of the year,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
so
anytime. And now if you go to fsp.org and look up the events, they're starting to do one event per month. That's their goal, to get up to monthly events so that people don't wait ar I was one of those people that was waiting for Pork Fest, and then, I came one year, the next year I wanted to come, but I missed it, so I waited a whole 'nother 12 months until it rolled around again. So that is good. We don't want people waiting until Pork Fest. At the Independence Inn, Dennis gives huge discounts. It's ranging between 50 to 70% discount at his guest house for people that mention the Free State. Um, and he points people in the right direction.
yeah. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, you really
He's so motivated and,
he does so
he's
much. I don't know. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
people think I do a lot, but
if you're in a group chat with Dennis, you've done some reading too. That man can type.
yeah.
He's got some words to say about liberty, but, in your opinion, we'll get to the Liberty Forum this weekend in a minute. What does success look like, let's say 5 years from now? Like, what is something that is tangible that we're working on right now to get more movers within the next 5 years?
Oh, I thought you meant, legislatively,
That
just
too. I mean, I do both. That's great.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, legislatively, I'll make a moment, I'll take a note to say that I'm not speaking as the FSP outreach director, although I'm a volunteer, so I don't know if the rules apply to me, but just in my um, personal belief, I think one of the most exciting things we have, so we don't, in New Hampshire, we don't have income tax. And we don't have sales tax, as you know. And the one left is property taxes, and they're high, but they're not that, they're at the same level as the region. But the biggest contributor to those property taxes is the public school system. Well, I think one of the most exciting things that's happened in New Hampshire in these last few years is the passing of the freedom the accounts. Um,
Yeah, the universal school freedom accounts or whatever they're
right,
called. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So now anyone who wants to educate their child privately will get $5,000, and there used to be limits on this, but like you know now it's universal, and we'll get $5,000 per child per year to homeschool them, to put them in a private school, to put them in one of the co-ops. There's a lot of school choice in New Hampshire.
That's huge, man.
What I can see happening and is already happening, despite the fact that the population in New Hampshire is increasing, the enrollment in public schools is decreasing, right? More and more people are pulling their kids out of the public schools. And as they start consolidating, not needing as many schools, this we're going to see some schools shut down because they're just not necessary, and the savings to the taxpayer is huge. So these education freedom accounts, EFAs, that's it, are $5 per child per year, where the state of New Hampshire spends an average of $21,000 per child per year. And to get an idea, I mean, that of how absurd that number is. And by the way, the statists want more. Like that's not enough. To get an idea of how absurd $21,000 a year is, it only costs $19,000 a year to go to UNH, to go to a university, right? So the state spends more teaching kids the alphabet than it's crazy.
It really is absolutely absurd, man. Like, that is a big one, though. Like, the EFAs have been huge. They expanded that more this last year, and, um, I'm hopeful that property taxes will go. I've never seen property tax bills go down anywhere I've ever lived. So, it'd be really
Yeah,
cool to see that happen. Or,
yeah.
I mean, it'd be great if they'd be eliminated, but I'm not, it's possible, you know?
Definitely. Not I mean, you asked about 5 years, so I
Yeah.
can see them, being reined in, in the next 5 years for sure. And not because, we have any not that well, we do have something against public schools, but it will be a matter of choice, right? It'll be families deciding what's better for our children. Is it the public school? And if they're not offering the best option, why should parents be forced to continue to enroll their kids there?
And like I say this all the time on here, but some of the biggest wins we have here in New Hampshire aren't even like political wins. Like culturally, we have this amazing community where like, if everything else fell apart, we would still have this. We would completely be functional without the government existing, which is amazing. Like, there is like it's like an agorist type mindset, whereas like you're building alternative systems and structures outside of the government, outside of what already exists. Um, and like there's new free staters are like opening up businesses all the time. And there's all these new liberty organizations popping up everywhere that are hyper focused all on different things so we can attack it from every angle. Like this literally doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Like,
Right, right.
I can't emphasize enough, if you're a liberty loving person and a libertarian, like, why aren't you here? Why haven't you visited if you haven't visited? Like, get your ass here.
Yeah, I think people just, either haven't heard of it or, can't appreciate what's going on. And it's gonna be evident in another 5 to 10 years. So, that's my vision for New Hampshire without doubt. I think that 10 years from now, New Hampshire will just I mean, already New Hampshire is the freest state, but New Hampshire will be significantly freer than any other state. It'll be the state that every other state or every other state will want to emulate. And I think that's really at the heart of why the FSP is so important. It's not just that we want to live in a freer state. It's that New Hampshire will become a role model, and it will be the example for other states to follow in order to achieve the prosperity that we're going to achieve, in order to achieve the quality of education that we're achieving, in order to achieve the health care and affordable health care. I just expect all aspects of quality of life just to continue to get better and better here in New Hampshire as we're watching them get worse and worse in California and Massachusetts.
I'm really glad that you said that. My next question is, do you feel like we are creating more of a libertarian refuge or libertarian model? And I think you'd agree with me too based on what you just said. We're creating a libertarian model for
Yeah,
what everything else should strive for.
yeah,
And obviously the problem is like there's no other decentralized government in the US that's like New Hampshire, so like the chances of that happening are very small. They would basically have to do like a free town project, which I've seen a few of those popping up in other parts of the country. Wish them success, obviously.
hmm,
Um, but like on such a mass scale, there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this. And
yeah,
we are literally creating the example of what people should strive for. Offline, we talked a little bit about the Libertarian Party. My personal opinion is like if the Libertarian Party had a role, it should be to build alternative systems like we've talked about. But I actually talked to this guy Rob Yates last week, who was he's running for like LNC chair on this next term, and what he thinks it should look like. He's like, well, I think that they should focus more on things like, um, like homesteading and school choice and building legislation that makes these things better for people everywhere, and focus a little bit less maybe on the national politics because like does the president really affect your life that much if you're living in this concentrated life, right?
yeah.
But, and obviously, all those people, like, is what it is. But, I don't know, I just really feel like, and we talked about Garnet School actually, which is awesome, based right here in New Hampshire. Um, they're great. They literally will teach you everything about homesteading, about how to survive on your own, how to build shelters, like whatever you can think of, build gunsmithing, soap making,
Foraging.
foraging. Like it's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff is right here. That's the stuff that, bigger organizations like, like the LP or whatever, they should focus on that. They should really actually they should change their entire mission to just support the Free State Project. Like, they should just push people to New Hampshire,
I mean,
honestly.
they should honestly just move here.
Yeah. There's
Yeah, I do wanna comment on the issue of, New Hampshire being a model because that's ultimately what motivated to me to move here. I as I said earlier, I was, of course, in the private sector. I was an entrepreneur and a real estate investor, and when I decided to wrap up that part of my life, I decided that I wanted to do something to give back, right? I wanted to do something to contribute to make the world a better place. And I actually checked out, considered a couple different charities. Uh, I did so abroad as well in the Dominican Republic, for instance. I briefly got involved with one that took food, clothing to some villages that were in terrible condition. That's a whole nother subject. But you get a sense that it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, nothing changed. They ate that night, and tomorrow they're in the same situation. And I was reminded that the most important cause in the world is the cause for freedom. When you look at the economic freedom rankings around the world, Cato, and they list every country from the freest countries like New Zealand and Switzerland and Singapore. All the Scandinavian countries rank quite highly. They're quite capitalist. To the countries all the way down to the least free countries. At the very bottom, you have North Korea and Venezuela, Cuba, etc., and everything in between. And then you look at the UN has an index also, the Human Development Index, the HDI, and they look at quality of life and average income, healthcare as it pertains to longevity, how long people are living, and quality of education. There's a very strong correlation, right? There's the countries, the freest countries enjoy the best quality of life, and vice versa. So, if you know that to be true, that freedom is what will bring prosperity and will lift people out of poverty, then you have to conclude that it is the most important cause. So then the next question, and this is sort of a first principles approach to this question, how do you make the biggest difference in the world? Is how do you then spread freedom? And if we look to our history, we get the answer that it spreads by example, right? 250 years ago, when the US was founded, there were only a handful of democracies, 4 or
And
5, and only one was founded with liberty and its founding principle enshrined in the Constitution. And as a result, right, we saw this period of tremendous growth and prosperity. I mean, people forget 250 years ago, it's the United Nations, has these poverty rates and extreme poverty rates, and they estimate that 85% of the world population lived in extreme poverty, right?
that's wild.
We
Yeah.
forget 250 years ago, this is a very short time ago in the span of, right, human existence, tens of thousands of years. 85% of the world lived in extreme poverty. I mean, we were riding around in horses. We were cooking over a fire on the ground, right? Everything we enjoy today, medicine, technology, education, flight, travel, tourism, everything has only happened in the last 250 years. And it was the United States that led that, and we didn't force capitalism on other countries. It spread by example. Other countries wanted to emulate us, and they saw what was working here. So all this to say that I think the U.S. has clearly lost its way partially. Many of us remember the values and are trying to spread them. But I think New Hampshire is going to be the model that will remind the other states which way's, the North Star, which way is north,
Yeah.
which way.
And,
And
maybe we'll get lucky, man. Maybe New Hampshire will become its own country that other people can strive to be too. You know what I mean? But, I don't know, like, you look at Argentina, right? Like, look at what's happening down there right now with, Javier Milei, and, he's completely changed their economic trajectory in less than 2 years, because of what he's been doing down.
yeah,
And, there's a lot of people, like, here in America, and I'm not trying to black pill, I'm super white pilled, I'm a positive, optimistic person for the future for everyone. But, you know, if you look at America, there's people who genuinely believe that it's gonna be possible in the short term to elect Javier Milei as, like, the US president. And I'm like, "No, if we were to see that kind of radical change, it's much more likely to happen at a decentralized level in a state form, because, like, we still have the 10th Amendment where states, if you have someone in charge of that state that's just like, super about state sovereignty, you can have what they have down there, like, and we'll have it better because we never hit
right.
300% inflation. You know
Honestly.
what I mean?
Yeah, I've been following Argentina for years. He's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And it would be exciting. There are a lot of people up here in New Hampshire that are interested in the idea of, at least more greater autonomy,
Mhm.
perhaps some sort of associated state that's associated with the US. There are others that would like to see us secede. I think those are,
Right now
exciting
it's pipe
ideas to
dreams. We're
contemplate down the line. What's that?
Right now it's kinda like it's definitely like a huge pipe dream for those people. Like, it's definitely like we're talking pure theory. We're not talking
Yeah,
like real practice right now because there's no one's talking about that.
right, right. That's
Like, but, it's good to have hopes and dreams, man.
I don't think it'll be I don't know that it'll be in my lifetime, but, uh, I think, I think if the if Americans are reminded of what has brought us so much prosperity, what has brought us this amazing quality of life that, if you just, I think if you haven't lived in another country, maybe you can't have the same appreciation for it. And, and I have lived in, several other countries, and we really are blessed.
Yes.
It's a real privilege to have been born here.
But you know what? You're here now,
Yes.
and, we're here. A lot of free staters moved here. Um, we're so stoked to be here, but, like, I can't emphasize enough, that does not come without personal sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people have given up a lot of things to be here.
Mhm.
Um, I personally, for yourself, have you like, what did you sacrifice to get here?
Well, I'm retired. I mean, I'm retired, and retired people don't move to high property tax states, right? So, um, that I'm in shock, to be honest. In Puerto Rico, they're very low, very minimal, and so, if it wasn't for the Free State Project, I'd probably be living in a state with no property taxes and high income tax. I don't care because
You're retired.
yeah,
Exactly. Um, man, like, I just know that everyone's got, like, a story of something that they're sacrificing to be here, but I can't emphasize enough that it is so worth it. Like, it's so worth it, and, like, I don't have any family in the state. A lot of people, their biggest holdback is family ties, and I totally get that. Like, people geographically become anchored to places because that's where they're raised. Their whole family's there. They like to see their family on holidays and stuff. It takes a lot to move away from that, especially if you've got like a family and kids and stuff. Sometimes people will wait till their kids are old enough to move out before they can make big moves like that. I think Tom Woods is in that camp. He's coming up here. Um, but like, I don't know. I I understand, when it comes to the whole family thing. Um, but, just even looking over what's happened over the last 5, 6 years, um, what kicked a lot of people to get here was, COVID.
yeah.
And overnight, things can change, and it can completely ruin your family. So, I guess part of me is saying, you should probably just, not just bring yourself, bring your whole family with you. But, like,
Well,
that's just not
I
realistic,
fa
right?
yeah, no, I definitely faced that consideration also, and it was, it was a tough call to make, but for the for the let's just say my parents' generation, travel today is so easy that I feel comfortable flying back to see my parents and the rest of my family on a regular basis. And then for my down a generation, for my son, I like the idea of establishing myself here and giving him the opportunity to grow up here. Rather, I think if you're thinking of having kids or you have kids, then the sooner you move here, the better, so that they can grow up in i- in the right environment, and so that when they feel like they have roots, it's here, not somewhere else.
Yeah, freedom for freedom, right? It's a thing. Um, so I do kinda wanna debunk something a little bit real quick too. Some people say that I've seen it said that the Free State Project is just too online. They're basically like an internet movement, and I'm like, here's the thing. People wouldn't be protesting all these events and standing on signs in the state capitol saying, "Beware of free staters, Google the Free State Project," calling us, literal, um, parasites
Yeah,
and making all these articles about us if we were just an online thing. We're, like, actually
yeah.
infiltrating
I
and
you know,
taking over the government here, so
that's crazy. I hadn't heard that, but they're just not anyone who thinks that I think isn't in tune with what's going on in the state house.
I've seen people say that it was like, "Fake it till you make it," and I'm like, no, dude, there's literally thousands of people that have moved here, and
Yeah,
every single year we
yeah,
have like liberty legislation that's passing. We have a House Majority Leader that's a free stater, as you said earlier, Jason Osborne. And every year
there
it seems like we're adding to those numbers and getting a bigger majority in the state house.
right,
It's
right.
crazy that anyone would even say that.
There are more than 80, um, 80 state representatives in the Liberty Caucus. That's that's a huge
It's
number,
insane.
and to think 20 years ago, it was 1. So it's gone from 1 to more than 80 up to 100. It depends which metric and who's counting and on what issue. But that's a lot,
Mhm.
and it's only gonna continue to grow.
I think that the reason, that this has happened and why I've seen stuff like this is because for a lot of people in a lot of states, liberty and the liberty movement is kind of like it almost feels like it's a performative thing. It's almost like political cosplay because they're not making
Right.
the forward progression and gaining ground in that. So I can understand why people would be like, oh, like it's just, like it's just an online thing. No, this is not an internet movement, man. All my friends, everyone I know, hundreds of people personally that I know since I moved here for the sake of creating more freedom in New Hampshire. So like I don't get it either, but I don't know. I just had to throw that out there because I saw that
I mean,
within the
I can
last
just
week.
list so many things in the housing regulation. Our founder, Jason Sorens at the Pork Fest this summer listed something like 28 pieces of regulation that were removed, right? Housing regulation that were removed. The business tax has been trimmed 8 times so far. We, via Free Stater Initiative, we got rid of the dividend income tax, the interest income tax. Um, I mean, we just repealed the car inspection sticker. You know that.
That's actually like a really big one is the car inspection thing, man, because honestly, like I don't know, there's so many states that have already don't have them or they repealed it or gotten rid of it. But here we had like a federal judge say, "Oh, you got to continue that. You got to keep going," because the EPA got in their ear or whatever. And you know, this is amazing actually. This is literally what we're about here. This is the culture of New Hampshire. We told the federal judge to kick rocks.
Yeah,
Like, this is it's like, I can't remember what was it Teddy Roosevelt that said it, so long ago? There was some judge or something that said, tried to overturn something, was like, "Well, then they can try to enforce it themselves because 'cause we're not
right.
going to." Do you remember talking about
Well,
I don't even remember the
I know
quote,
that's
but
what happened here. That the rep said, "Well, what are you gonna do about it?" I mean,
yeah, well, you know what? She can enforce it. That's about the only person that's gonna enforce it. When I'm elected as sheriff for Merrimack County this November, I can tell you for sure, those federal agencies are gonna be told to kick rocks.
Mm.
many times, many times.
Hmm.
Um, because there's just so much bureaucracy that goes on in that stuff, and truthfully, like, we're in this great place, man. Like, this is where the revolution began, in Ware, New Hampshire, with the Pine Tree Riot,
Country Riot.
telling them, "No, we're not gonna pay your stupid tree tax, dude." Like, and setting all the lumber on fire, and freaking, in causing this huge uproar, and throwing the sheriff in jail overnight because he was trying to, arrest the lumber mill, the guy who owned the lumber mill or whatever, for not paying the tax. This is where it started. This is where it all started. So this is literally part of our culture, the live free or die culture here. It's amazing.
There's a lot of really cool pieces of history here. For instance, I learned after moving here that the New Hampshire Constitution is older than the American Constitution. It's the only it was ratified in January 1776, so 6 months prior. It, I mean, and I've if you start reading it, it looks quite a lot like the U.S. Constitution.
Mhm.
Uh,
The Second
Perhaps,
Amendment for New Hampshire is also, you know, our right to guns and to bear
yeah.
arms.
And it might be more watertight than the American Constitution. I mean, it talks about life, liberty, and property, and the pursuit of happiness. But it's important that you know the right to work for, obtain, own, and protect your property is explicitly listed. There are a lot of really good elements to it. So yeah, New Hampshire has a lot of great liberty history.
I've actually, every week, during my campaign here, I'm going to be breaking down each amendment of the New Hampshire Constitution,
Oh, cool.
and just, like, explaining what that means for, like, a county sheriff, like how a county sheriff needs to uphold this value above all else, basically, because they literally, like, swear an oath to uphold the New Hampshire Constitution.
Yeah.
Um, and I just feel like, not like, we all, like, a lot of us know the US Constitution. Most New Hampshire residents don't know anything about the New Hampshire Constitution, but it's beautiful. It's an amazing document that's so well
Mhm.
written.
Mhm.
And, I especially love the part that says, when government becomes, not for the people, that is their right to,
Yes, to
create a new
rebel.
government. Essentially, so
The right to rebel is in our Bill of Rights.
it's beautiful.
Mm.
It is a beautiful document. I encourage everyone to read it. Um, so what would you say? I said we were going to talk about Liberty Forum this weekend. So I guess, we're got like another 10 minutes before we hit the hour, but talk about Liberty Forum, because we got some really great
Yeah,
guests this weekend. And I, I'm planning to show face there, obviously, and it's going to be great. We got
def
Tom Woods, Scott Horton, some of my
yeah,
favorite people. So
those are the big headliners. S Scott Horton, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing, with Iran, just everything that's
mhm.
happening there, hearing what he has to say. Matt Kibbe will be there. Some elected officials like Senator Keith Murphy, who won the Legislator of the Year, and he's going to be speaking. Representative Jason Osborne, who's the House Majority Leader. So, and then of course, the FSP leadership, Carla Garrick, who's the chairwoman of the board, Eric Brakey, the executive director, will be speaking. So I think there's a great lineup. There will be two rooms, the main stage, and then there's going to be this dialogue where because the theme of Liberty Forum is building freedom. It's not about being a passive voter, as we talked about earlier. It's about what can each of us do to contribute to making New Hampshire freer. And in addition to the talks and the conversations, I think the networking is I think what a lot of people find they get the most out of conferences in general, all conferences, right? And it's something that brings people together from all over New Hampshire and from, all over the country. So, I think it's gonna be a good weekend. On Thursday, we're doing a tour of the State House, and we'll have protesters there, liberals that, statists. Eric likes to call them slave staters because if we're free staters and they don't like what we're doing, then they must be slave staters. The
Yep.
slave staters will be there to protest our existence. So we're excited to, you know, chin up
Yep.
and
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that goes, man. I mean,
laugh in their face.
it's crazy, man. I mean, we've got if you drive around the state, there's this Granite State Progress or whoever the heck they are, not to give them extra attention right now, but like you'll drive down the road or down the highway. And just like everyone has these political signs during campaign season, they'll have those types of signs everywhere when it gets warm out, that are like, you know, talking crap about the Free State Project and like how people need to like be careful of the Free Staters. And, it is so wild, man. It really is. I can't believe that we're lucky enough to have uh, a pushback like that, man. But you know what? This next election cycle, and if not this one, the next one, we're gonna have so many wins that a lot of these people, I hope, just like self-deport. You know what I mean?
We're gonna win so much.
So
All
much
we do is
victories.
win. We win and we win.
That's all we do at the Free
So
State
much
Project
winning.
is we just win. Um, they're not sending their best, let me tell you. Sorry,
What
that was ridiculous.
a
But no, dude, thank you so much for coming on. This has been legitimately like one of the best conversations I've had in a while. I feel like just because I
Thanks.
I love New Hampshire, I love the free state movement here, and I'm so excited about the energy you're bringing to this, and I think we have nothing but optimism going forward here, dude. Like we got so much to look forward to. Um, I'm gonna be county sheriff
Yeah,
this
you are.
November. I'm literally gonna win, like, it's gonna happen, and we've
Yep.
got so many more victories around the corner, man. Like,
That's
it's
what
just it's happening, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So, um, but there's a lot of thanks to you, man. Like, you're grinding it out, you're doing so much
Nah.
stuff, and
I
you're at
mean,
all
I
these
feel like
gun
just
shows and
yeah, we go to the gun shows and we go to homesteading
you're
events and
door knocking. Like, dude, you're so busy all the time. So, this is
I
what
feel like
liberty looks like, guys. Like, try to be more like Pedro, please, because we need some Pedros to move to New Hampshire.
I'm
No
just
one
I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, honestly. I'm so grateful. It's exciting now. I can't even, the folks that got here 20 years ago, that, they deserve a lot more credit. You know, to build what we have now. Now it's great. Now we can show up and rock out.
well, um, we're wrapping up here, but I guess give some plugs, man. Like, what do you wanna give a shout out to? Where do you wanna send people's attention?
Well,
And,
I yeah, thanks for asking. Well, I mean, for sure, we talked about the Liberty Forum, and that it starts this Thursday. Uh, sorry, March 6th. The March Thursday, March 6th is the tour of the State House, and there's a bit of a reception, but really it's Friday and Saturday. So I would really encourage anyone who was interested in learning more about the Free State Project. This is a great event, and you just go to FSP, as in Free State Project, FSP.org to get your tickets, or also NHLibertyForum.com there's two websites where you can get tickets. And the money bomb I mentioned earlier. If I could encourage people to put in their calendar Monday, March 23rd, so in about 3 weeks more or less, we'll be having the money bomb so that we can get the word out there. There's millions of libertarians out across the country, and we need to make sure that they learn about the Free State Project. So please contribute that day at fsp.org. Those two things. Thank you so much, Ben. It was awesome chatting with you, and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
yeah, man, I appreciate you. Thanks so much. I'll drop you backstage, and then we'll chat in just a moment. All right,
All right.
sir?
Good.
Thanks again. All right, I can't emphasize this enough, guys. Come check out New Hampshire. Come to Liberty Forum or Pork Fest, or just come hang out, man. Like, I got room. Come hang out. Like, you can stay with me if we're homies. You know what I mean? So what we got so much going on. Explore the state. We're coming into spring here. It's about to get awesome. So um, can't emphasize it enough. Go to fsp.org, check it out. Check out the lineup for Liberty Forum if you're local here, and try to make it this weekend. Um, Other than that, I'm not going to stop singing the praises of the amazing, great state of New Hampshire. And we'll see you next week. Have a good night. Coming for the throat! Demons like my knuckles, so you step in